for the first time. Chris, congratulations. Welcome to Desktop Time Live on Facebook.
Whoa, I just don't even know what to say. I'm over. That's right.
Celebration.
Yeah, after the viral week I'm having, I'm excited. I'm beyond words. So that is really cool.
You know, when we said we were going to take it over, you didn't know we really meant we were going to take it over, right?
Mike, again, over there are my golf clubs. They're waiting outside for me, so I'll be back in an hour.
Love it.
Yeah, we take taking over to a whole new level, just so you know.
I'm not offended. It's okay. And by the way, folks, thank you for joining us. It is desktop time for folks that just are here for the normal basic broadcast on Zoom. So we welcome you also, and we're all happy to be here. We're thankful you're here. Mariette already did a faux pas because this is not a Qbox time. This is desktop time. And so even though we're all wearing cool Qbox shirts, and Matthew, actually, that is our brand new shirt that we'll have at Scaling New Heights and also at the Latino Tax Fest. So thank you guys for showing up and joining us today. We do, of course, have, and they are going to take over in just a minute, by the way. I'm just pretending that I'm actually even here or involved. So, but we do, of course, have Mariette Martinez with us. We're so grateful you're here with us again, and also Matthew Fulton. And so I'm just going to introduce you guys, and I'm just going to get the heck out of the way so you guys can do what you do. So both of them, of course, are very experienced in their own areas and very big in the viral, bigger than me. Matthew tells me all the time all the stuff I don't know, and so I'm learning from him, learning from the best. So but I did want to introduce them, so I'm going to embarrass them by reading their bios that we had on the website. So Mariette designs and delivers educational content that accelerates the financial growth and awareness for micro businesses, self-employed solopreneurs, and the small business partnerships that serve them. She provides consulting sessions, live workshops to her community designed to deep dive into specific small business, financial topics, and technologies. Her current passion project, tutresmaestres.com, is a co-founded bilingual e-learning platform that will bridge the financial literacy gap for English and Spanish-speaking small business owners. Mariette is a financial tax accountant, IRS enrolled agent, and Intuit trainer writer who has worked in the accounting, tax, and technology industries. Don't know what that noise was, for over 2 decades. This blend of experience allows for her to create content, spread awareness for her entrepreneurial community around the importance of financial literacy, year-round tax compliance, and embracing technology to work more efficiently. Her content is delivered with the intent to connect entrepreneurs and their financial professionals together so they may grow together towards sustainable financial success.
Wow.
That's a lot. In your free time. And then Matthew. And then Matthew's with us, co-founder of VendorSync, a QuickBooks desktop application that enhances the bank import process for bookkeepers and accountants. Additionally, Matthew is co-founder and CTO of Parkway Business Solutions, where he uses his passion for technology to create time-saving tools for accountants and bookkeeping solutions to fit the needs of the modern small business owner. And when he's not working, which if you ever follow Matthew, you realize he is never not working. You'll likely find Matthew walking his dogs, Silas and Sophie, on the beach in Ventura, California. And this is a West Coast presentation today, by the way. So it is sunny out here. I don't know how to tell you folks everywhere else, but where it's always another beautiful day in paradise. Connect with Matthew on Facebook or Twitter, Parkway Inc., and subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/Parkway Inc. So thank you both for joining us today. We're so grateful to have you here. And again, Matthew's also going to be giving us an introduction to VendorSync later on, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'll let you guys, again, commandeer desktop time, take over, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy the show. So thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Mariette, we kind of talked about this a little bit of a teaser, right?
Yeah. So how do you want to get started, Matt? Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining. It's the participant panel is getting bigger and bigger. We got people on Facebook. Thank you, Matt, for doing your magic and getting us on Facebook. And of course, thank you to Chris, who has always been such a small business ambassador. You're always there. You're at all the events. You're just basically there to make our lives easier, to allow us to grow and thrive, as what we're going to talk about today as cloud consultants. So thank you for that. I'm always punished for talking about Qbox and Chris too much. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. because I really adore Chris. Okay, that's it. So anyway, thank you all for being here. So yeah, today, honestly, we've been kind of, teasing for the last couple weeks. We want it to be super interactive. We're really, really grateful, Matt, myself, Chris, Allison too, who never wants to get on live, but we're going to get her one of these days. Get over here. Get over here. So, we have a really cool tribe. And if you're all here for the first time and you don't know us, number one, please knock on our doors, hang out with us at the conferences. We're super cool. And it's important that we have a tribe because there is a lot going on in our industry right now. And that's basically what we're going to talk about. 10 years back, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. There weren't so many moving pieces. We didn't have to know the cloud, and we didn't have to know desktop, and we didn't have to be these hybrid people that can integrate so many different, ways for our clients, but that's gone now. Now we actually have to be these hybrid consultants, these technicians. We need to know processes and workflows and apps, and then we still actually have to learn every single day. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on in our industry. So number one, grateful for the tribe. And number two, grateful for Chris to allow us to talk about this today because this is going on right now. And that's kind of like what we're talking about today is the fact that everyone talks about the future. This isn't the future. This is happening right now today, and we just don't want you all to miss out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you guys want to jump in, again, participate, go in the chats. We'll be checking the chats, the Facebook Lives, and that's kind of what we're going to do. Of course, we're going to go focus a little bit on the industry, but then we want to deep dive on what it means to be a hybrid solution provider. And we have one on the phone right now on the call, Matt. So that's why we want to get him in and really teach us that because a lot of us that are either only doing desktop or only doing online, he's going to talk about the fact that we don't have to only be doing one or the other. And so I'm grateful for that because that's also happening a lot. It's like you could only do this, and that's not true. There's ways for you to actually integrate and create a hybrid environment for your clients, for your small business clients. So is that what you want to talk about, Matt?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a great little segue to kind of give a little bit background, a little bit more of my background with Parkway Business Solutions. The whole reason we ended up leading into VendorSync was starting off with QuickBooks Desktop. We actually transitioned quite a few of our clients over to QuickBooks Online, and through the process, as we got busier and busier, we started to try to find ways to get the job done more efficiently. We immediately, of course, we're talking quite a few years back when we were trying to do some transition, we had some people that were very hesitant in making that transition to a cloud-based environment. So we've always kept our skills up in both desktop and online. And more recently, we started to recognize as there have been major transitions in our industry, there's a lot of benefits to actually having certain clients be able to stay on desktop and then provide them other ways to connect. Maybe it's to a point of sale system. So if they have the ability, they can be somewhat cloud-based, but still pull the accounting down into a desktop environment. It's worked out great. Talking about workflow efficiency, workflow, my favorite procrastination has always been going to websites like Product Hunt and Beta List to see what's new, what's coming out on the market, because that helps me understand how to connect different dots.
Yeah.
That led to VendorSync because we recognized they're literally trying to choose between, do you go online because of these bank feeds, because of the efficiency and the wow of it, right? But they don't want to do that because of the powerful tools built inside of QuickBooks Desktop. Well, why choose? Why not have both? It just made good sense. So we started to figure out ways we could play with those bank transactions. If you start to think about it, you can summarize most businesses by money in the bank, money out of the bank, to really figure out the details. And when you're doing data rebuild, so forth, that post-transactional accounting, the least common denominator is the bank memo. So we started manipulating the bank feeds in desktop and figured out a way to get transactions in with half the amount of work. But we'll demonstrate and show that a little bit later today. So, Mariette, we've seen a lot of changes just recently. So how are you using the cloud to enhance your clients right now?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I want to mention, I love the fact that you're saying, that there are solutions and that, there are people like you. And honestly, I really believe our app providers that do a lot of the work to connect the dots And then now we have to just basically either find them on apps.com or just do a little Googling and say, I'm struggling with my client's POS system. How do I connect the dots? I have to go ahead and, integrate, an e-commerce app into my solution. How do I do that? I need to bring in vendors more smoothly into my product. How do I do that? So before, I feel like I know, and many of us in the tribe spend hours, days, weeks doing it. Now there's a few people out there that, are so, I would just say, incredibly open with their time and with their teachings that we can just do a little bit of research and then it can kind of get us on the right track. And you're one of those people. So I want to thank you for doing a lot of that work. I mean, obviously you say you like to do it for fun. It's not always fun spending hours and hours researching how to connect the dots. It's like, oh my gosh. So number one, I agree. Like before, it would take me hours and days, even weeks to research how to be a hybrid collaborator. I call myself and everyone pretty much in our tribe, we're collaborators now. Like we really don't do anything alone. And by the way, there's no need to do anything alone. Like, why are you working alone? Like, number one, stop that. Cut that out. Like, there's too many people out there. Again, the big Intuits, the app partners like Qbox, Girltree, and Vendor Sync, or just your friends. Obviously, Matt and I are in a 97 and up. What's that, David? It's a mastermind for accounting, tax, and bookkeeping professionals. So that's number one. When you're saying, how do I work this with my clients? Number one, I don't work it with my clients, only my clients. I actually work it like as a team effort. And many times I have to actually bring somebody in. So let's say, for instance, I needed your app or I needed your solution because you've been talking about it. I'd call you up, Matt, and say, hey, can you get on a demo with me and my client? And can we make sure this is going to work for us? Same thing with Chris. Actually, that's what I've always loved about Chris, is that Chris is open to connect with a real person. Like he actually is a person, behind the Qbox logo and swag, there's a real person named Chris Wise that will pick up the phone and help you out. So number one, I don't do any of this alone. And I don't think any of us have to. And also something else that's really important is that we have transitioned now to a completely different role. Like, again, with this whole mindset of that we need to shift because of computerization, because of the machines, and, let's not get all scared, but we know what's happening. The bots are coming, you know what I mean? So, but because of computerization, honestly, there's two ways you can take it. You can be super scared about it, or you can be super excited about it, and I'm super excited about it because I'm doing less of what I didn't like to do and more of what I love to do. And so that's awesome, right?
Chris, do you think this is her super excited voice? I don't think it is quite her super excited voice.
It goes up a little bit higher. So I think, again, I think when working with clients, of course, and most of you know I'm an Intuit trainer writer, so I teach a lot on how to, do implementations and how to have new client assessments and how to build solutions for your clients. It all starts with just having a call. Hello, having a meeting and saying, what do you need? What are your pain points? How can I help you? What solutions do you have? And then I love how Seth always says, take the cotton out of your mouth. No, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth, meaning be quiet and let the client just let it all out and tell them, I'm struggling with my PS, I'm struggling with my inventory, my e-commerce, I have desktop and I don't want to leave desktop, but my accountant wants to be in the cloud. How does that work? How can I actually work with someone in the cloud if I want to stay desktop? Whatever it is, you just have to have that assessment meeting that everybody talks about and then discover together. It's really not that complicated. That's all it is.
And so that's the whole point of the navigating this cloud environment, right? Number one, navigating is because we're actually navigating it together. Yeah. I've said for some time, we are so fortunate to live in a time to where we can utilize technology like Zoom to interact, to connect over vast distances. But one of the more important parts of it is there are so many people that are now willing to share that journey. Yeah. One of the things I will always be grateful to Chris for is he has in a sense truly helped mentor me along the way. His journey with Qbox, trying to launch an application could be very, very tough. It could take a lot of time and energy to do it. And just having good people around you to help bounce ideas off, find out what worked well for them or not, can help make it to where you
Oh
don't
my
have to
gosh.
hit some of the same roadblocks. And as accountants, it's the same thing. So we can find out together whether or not certain clients are really well suited for a desktop environment, a cloud environment. You know, the days of basic bookkeeping, and actually I learned on Green Sheet back in the day. We actually had to learn how to do it the right way, and white pencil and such. That's going away, as you were talking about. So we have to be able to transition. We have to take ourselves and evolve to that next level.
Yeah.
And that's done easy. The easiest way to do that is to collaborate, unless we all plan to try to learn everything all at the same time.
Yeah. And it's something that I've been blown away. Probably the last 5 years is that, back in the day, again, back 10 years ago when we would use just like Microsoft and back in the day, I'm going to say it, we used to use like Peachtree and QuickBooks and all the different things out there, right? Like you never thought you could call these companies or call these programs and ask for help. Like I never thought that was possible. And then all of a sudden the cloud was born, right? And all of these strategic app partners, and I call them my partners, like even though they're applications and they're programs and it's all technology, like they are at all these conferences and they're standing there. And a lot of time it's the developers, the project managers, or the owners, like in Chris's case, and they want to know, like, so how can I help you? How can I make this better? And so, for a lot of people that are still in the desktop world and are, transitioning to the cloud, and that's why we're going to talk a little bit about what that hybrid solution looks like, and you're going to give us an example. A lot of people, one of my close friends, his name is Eric Green. He's actually a tax attorney. Maybe you've heard him. He runs a podcast called Tax Rep Network. But he just went to Scaling New Heights a couple years ago, and this guy is heavy in the industry. He's very well versed and, definitely incredibly brilliant. He had never been to a conference before. And so he told me yes, exactly. Incredibly successful professional CPA, tax attorney, never been in a conference. He said, he literally was like, Mariette, I was blown away by the fact that there is this gorgeous hall with hundreds of app partners or vendors, whatever you want to call them, that literally just wanted to talk to me and hear how they can make my life better and my business clients better. Like a lot of people in the desktop world, I'm just talking specifically to you guys, there are literally people that want to make your life better, that want you to work more effectively, more proficiently, and guess what? Work less. Like, work less. Like, so you can go hang out. Like, we're all Southern Cal. We want to be putting on our flip-flops and hanging out at the beach.
Silas and Sophie would thank you for that.
Yeah.
Silas and Sophie will thank you.
No, seriously. So let's go ahead and transition a little bit then. And can you give us some examples? Because we're talking about this high level, but what does a hybrid solution look like?
So, hybrid solution. We have quite a few different clients, one of them being a heating and air conditioning company that they were on desktop, they transitioned to online, they found it was not a good fit for their team, and they wanted to get away from it. So they basically have upgraded from QuickBooks Online back to QuickBooks Desktop.
Oh.
What's great about that scenario is the applications that they need their employees to actually connect to, that's cloud-based. That's available on their phone or on their tablet or the web browser. But the information that's necessary for us accountants to keep the data clean, that gets pulled down and synced into the desktop environment. And let's be honest, how many of us have clients out there that sometimes we wish we could just stick them in their own playground and just take the good data from, right? Like, help us help you do your books. Get out of them. So
I love that though, because I love that they have, again, going with the word hybrid, all of you, is like hybrid means, multifunctional, right? To keep it simple. And so where they needed some kind of, I don't know if these are service providers or field services, obviously they needed to be out and about. They had to be in the field. They had, they're on the go, but then they still could have had like their in-house most important data, transactional information in-house, but still you want to be able to work with them. So how do you work with clients that still want stuff in-house? Because that's the big thing about wanting to push into the cloud is we don't want to have to ever go to their office. I don't mind Zoom meetings. I'll do that all day long, but I want to be driving. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with someone that actually still has accounting in-house.
That's where our very good friend here, QBox, comes into play. And we, last time we were on here with VendorSync, we were talking about a special workflow we created that we deemed the Remote Accountant's Toolbox. And I've got a guide for it that I can actually show everybody. We'll make it to where you can get a copy of it, download it. But the concept was simple. Use QBox to grab the company file from your client that's on QuickBooks Desktop. Once you're grabbing it, you bring it back over. You could then utilize a service like LedgerSync or go straight to your bank to grab your bank transactions, download those, as well as your check images and statements, and then you would process all that information through VendorSync to make it the most efficient way to get the data into QuickBooks Desktop without all the clickety-clack of the keyboard. So the goal of it being, how can we get it set up so us accountants can service the different companies without having to go there? And
right.
It works great. I'm going to show part of that here in just a moment.
Awesome. So just so I'm clear, again, I'm not allowed to mention QBox, but QBox was what was able to get me to not have to drive, right?
Yeah.
By the way, everybody, I don't have the new QBox shirt, so whenever Matt shows his shirt, I just have to make a heart.
There he goes again.
I'm a little jealous. So, anyway, so yeah, and you know what? Let me just go ahead and put a cherry on top. So when I transitioned to, completely virtual, and many of you know that I do almost like 80% public speaking and 20% accounting, I had a few clients that were still desktop a few years ago. And Chris knows, I share this story all the time. I basically told them, like, these were really important clients, and I actually wanted to keep them because of the fact that what they do is going to allow me to keep skin in the game. And I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to just drop them all. But I told them, this is how we need to work. We need to work in a way where I can be accessible in my environment, which is virtual, and then you can still feel comfortable in a desktop experience. And you're right, Matt. The only thing that allowed me to do that was, other than, of course, hosted environment and complicating things that clients were like, that's too complicated, right? Was QBox. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good example. Perfect.
Well, and let's talk about price of stuff nowadays too.
Yeah.
Everything's going up in price. I won't be very particular or specific to anything that we all know. I'll say gas instead, but there's a lot of price increases in software and such. Like if you were looking at what people would call a traditional cloud hosting service, those can become very expensive. Yeah. And it's going to be on a server. You've got all these different things. Chris, I don't think I've ever shared with you the story that we had with one of our clients that we put on QBox. The guy had a situation, he literally got hit by ransomware. If it wasn't for QBox, he literally was able to save all his information. We backed it because we've got the auto backups. He lost like 4 hours of work and that's it. And the ransomware guy, he said, see ya. Now, that same guy, I can't even make this up. 2 months later, his computer caught on fire.
Oh my God! What in the world?
He loved us. He was so happy that we had set up, like, at first he was like, what's this QBox thing? And after that, he was like, man, I need to take you guys to dinner. You just saved my life.
It would have been really good, Matt. Honestly, I mean, of course, I always think of the marketing on it. I would have told my client, damn it, why don't you take a picture of your computer on fire? And then put like QBox, like the hero, like, ah.
That's right. We'll put it right on the homepage of our website. Trust me.
I actually asked, but he said he doesn't keep his camera next to the fire extinguisher, so it wasn't able to do it at the time.
Yeah, we're just in break class. Well, I really appreciate you both saying that because, really our mantra for the last 7 years was that and it's funny, we were talking to an SEO optimization person the other day, and I always tell people this, and you feel kind of dumb saying that, but we don't have a direct competitor. But having said that, our job is always to talk to people and make sure that we are the best fit and we don't oversell ourselves. Some cases people need hosted. I mean, they need that simultaneous remote access. Sometimes they need SaaS. That's not our deal. But if they don't, they just want traditional collaboration, then, we say, hey, this may be something you should consider. So we appreciate you mentioning that. And that's, because I kind of feel the same way. People need to choose the application and the software and the app that works best for them. They shouldn't see a commercial and say, boy, that app looks cool. I'm going to try that just to try it, and then get frustrated and end up not using it and maybe even paying for it. Ideally, there's, like you said, Mariette, they can go to these shows now, and I know I've talked to clients of ours that became our clients that go to these shows, and they're like kids in a candy store. They walk around and say, oh my gosh, look at that app. That app can do that. That can do my inventory. That can do whatever it is. And so it's a very positive experience for them because they find solutions they need. But so it's either that or a tribe, like you mentioned. It's getting involved with industry-related groups or chat situations where they can, find out about those types of apps that will really suit the need that they're looking for. So we're in the same boat. We don't want to oversell ourselves, but we want to be a fit for someone that's looking for our type of solution. So
and and I love that you said it was like a traditional collaborative solution, because if we think about most of us that are small business advisors, small business accountants, these small business owners, and obviously I teach this all the time, they're incredibly brilliant at what they do, incredibly passionate and successful. But then when it comes to the accounting and the solutions and the processes, they want us to keep it simple, KISS all day long. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like when you start overwhelming them, they're just like, okay, that's too much, and that's your gig. Like, that's not for me. But something like this, it's simple. You know what I mean? It's simple. And that's why I agree. I don't think you do have any competition. And I also don't think you oversell yourself. So thank God you have people like us that are like, ambassadors.
Right. Yeah, we need that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay. So Matt, I think we've teased the whole hybrid solution too much. Can you show us something?
I guess so. Is that what we're here for? Like,
that's what we're here for.
And by the way, everybody that's on there, feel free to ask whatever you want. Again, this is interactive. By the way, it was so funny. Larry says that I didn't bring up my new green screen because it was too complicated, but I do have Valentino back there somewhere.
We're working on getting, it's the perfectionist side of me. So we're working on making sure we get the best backgrounds possible for Mariette. So she is just on it.
Yes, exactly.
We're going to start a competition, start changing them all the time. So, super fast. This is the guide that we'll make available to everybody after the show here, which basically just kind of goes through the process of the Remote Accounts Toolbox, the step-by-step guide of what you would be doing, and then starts talking about Vendor Sync, which instead of talking about it here, we'll show you instead. So what we will do to get this thing rocking and rolling, we've got, again, we use QBox ourselves with different company files. Anytime we have every single QuickBooks Desktop company file we work with, always on QBox. And what we would be doing is, of course, using it to log in. It has a desktop application like widget that allows us to choose which company file we want. We can literally click onto it and choose to open it, which is great because it's also going to open it with the right version. So accountants, we have 15 different years of QuickBooks Desktop accountant and such. This gets it to the right one. So you're not having to actually upgrade and change this, change that, so forth.
Matt, really quickly before you leave QBox, you can answer the question. We just have a question that they wanted some confirmation. Am I understanding correctly that QBox maintains actual backups of a client company's file?
Yes. So basically, anytime someone updates a file and it transmits updates, it creates a new instance of the file in the cloud. So the owner of the folder actually at any time can retrieve or roll back to any one of 20 previous instances of the file. But the best part, like Matthew mentioned, is, heaven forbid something does catch on fire, your computer blows up, or you get a new computer. You can simply go into your web dashboard, download the client, and it puts the files back on your computer. So it does keep a running instance of the file in the cloud that you can always restore to your computer.
Additionally, don't you also have the ability you can share, there's other types of documents like Word, Excel, so forth that you can share through that. So if you need to be sharing reports over to clients, now you have this nice way of sending things back and forth to get the information, right?
That's right. Thank you very much. You guys keep teeing me up. If anybody wants to
Yeah,
complain about
it's not
Q-Box,
intentional.
Mariette Martinez and Matthew Fulton.
It's totally
But
not
yes.
intentional. You're just so awesome. Sorry. You're just awesome.
I don't know what to say. So I'm probably blushing, my wife would say if she was here. But yes, you can share any of the Office formats, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint Access, and also image files. So JPEGs, PNGs, those types of files as well. So the cool thing about Q-Box is each sync folder has 10 gigabytes of capacity. So most people will have one QuickBooks file in the folder, but
That's huge.
then we try to educate them, hey, by the way, share all the other stuff you need to, share back and forth with your client on a regular basis anyways. So, they can use it for a lot of other stuff that they don't even realize. So.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, so to get the process started here with Vendor Sync, I personally like to call Vendor Sync a complementary application. There are so many different apps out there that are all focused around bank feeds and fetching and grabbing and doing all those kind of things. Some do certain things really well. Where we come into play, we focus specifically with QuickBooks Desktop and getting the data into QuickBooks Desktop through that bank feed center, because we actually sync and pull your vendor list and your actual chart of accounts both and bring it up to the cloud to where we can play with it. The reason that's important, in QuickBooks Desktop, you can go in and you can edit a vendor, okay? And if you go to account settings, you can choose what account you want a certain expense to go to. Now the difficulty is if you have 400 vendors, who's going to go through and type, 8 clicks each to go through and adjust which account you want things to go to? So being a little creative, we figured out we could play with that a bit, and we created Vendor Sync. So this is our Vendor Sync dashboard where we've got our vendor list pulled up, and we can actually come through and very quickly assign an account to a specific expense. You can actually update just about anything and everything about a vendor in here. So even the 1099 status, whether it's active, so forth, to try to really make more control from all this. The reason we do that, by taking your bank transactions, whether you want to go to your bank, grab a QBO file, bring it in, it's either CSV, Excel, or QBO at this time, you bring those transactions in, you would then normally go to QuickBooks Desktop, pull it in, and have to put a payee name and a category to every single transaction, right? The difficulty, you can of course do like renaming rules in the program, but it slows everything down. And we always found like you're going fast, you're typing in, and you start to do like 5 or 6 different like transactions, and then you accidentally go and you add a new vendor, which means it wipes out all the stuff you already did because you didn't save and pull it in, and now you're back up to the top of it again. So we figured out if we actually bring in the transactions first, pull them into this area, we can then go through and start to auto-suggest payee names based off of what shows up in the memo. So our goal ultimately is the least number of clicks wins. So the better we can get this set up, the more powerful it becomes in the least amount of time that's necessary. What I'm going to do, let's come in and we've got, let's see
really
here.
Quickly, can I stop you real here?
Sure.
Okay, so from a brand new person seeing this, first of all, I love the whole grid feeling because that always is helpful, and that's what we're all getting accustomed to. So, and maybe you're going to get to this, so maybe I should have stopped and let you
keep going. It's good.
But how did you get the bank information in here?
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to import a bank file right now. We've actually mapped out on our website a couple ways you can use this with different applications, such as if you do work with LedgerSync, you could export the data from there because they basically aggregate all of your clients' different bank accounts, grab the QBO file, pull it over, and then you'd upload it. Or you can even go to, say, HubDoc and take their CSV file and be able to pull that in also.
Oh, nice. Or you can get it straight from the bank, obviously.
Exactly.
Got
so,
it. Okay.
And the way that would look is you would choose, I should say that the financial accounts that you're seeing on the left-hand side here, those are appearing there on purpose because in our QuickBooks Desktop file, those are the actual accounts that are in the chart of accounts. So if we're a bank feed app, we need the bank accounts and the credit card accounts. We absolutely work with credit card accounts as well. We need those pulled up to the side so you know which ones that you can work with and pull the information into it.
Got it.
Additionally, right here, this is an important part. You're going to see it says, this financial account does not have an Intuit bank ID number. Fix it now. Anybody who's ever had a situation where it's a smaller bank or you get that famous branding error that says, we don't recognize this bank. Sorry, you can't import here. This resolves that. You click the button and you automatically search for it, right? So we'll go Chase, boom, save it, and now it will recognize that. So even if your bank is not supported by Intuit, you can still import by coming into here and just choosing a different number.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this though.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you essentially doing the same type of pulling of data like the bank feeds in QuickBooks Online?
So the only thing that's different is we are not actually aggregating the streams directly. We are taking the information where we're very much like QuickBooks Online is the idea of rules, right? Because you can create these rules to start to auto-suggest, auto-categorize. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
But because bank feeds are so inconsistent, I do not want to deal with bank feeds for my application right now until they become stronger, because nobody will like me because of the bank feeds. They break all the time. So we instead offer a platform where other people can bring in those transactions.
Got it. So then you actually have had to done the manual export out of the bank into a local file, and then you're bringing it in here.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, good.
And the reason I like to call it complementary is if you are already using HubDoc in your workflow, well, you already get those CSVs and the statements from HubDoc, right?
Right.
So you could take that CSV, pull it into here, because currently HubDoc doesn't do a lot with desktop. You'd still be typing everything in. And when you pull in the transactions, it'll process them, and you'll immediately see, we just brought this in, all of these highlighted lines. These are all auto-suggested names. We still have to accept them based off of what's either showing in the memo here or with the aliases, which I'll show you in just a moment.
So this is what a lot of us do manually when we do it in Excel.
Exactly.
So we have to export in Excel, do all that cleanup work, and then have to go back and move it up to online or desktop, wherever. This is our collaboration tool, like mediator tool between the bank and the product.
Yeah, the real power comes from when you can interrupt the pathway from the bank to the accounting platform, you actually take back the power of what you can do with that data.
Ooh, what? Okay, you're going to have to say that again. Can you say that again?
When you interrupt the pathway between the bank feed and the accounting platform, you take back the power of that data.
That is huge. I love that because that is so true. And that's really what being a process consultant or technician is about, is taking ownership back, right? We're taking ownership back. Okay, that's awesome. All right.
So imagine, I just switched this to 250 transactions, and I'm going to do something that I would never recommend to anybody else. I'm going to blindly trust everything that's been suggested. You should still be checking it, make sure it's good until you're really good. But full disclaimer, I'm not normally that silly. I'm going to come in, I'm going to click and say, accept all suggestions. And we had 165 transactions pulling up right here, it tells me. Once this is done, I love the fact we actually added in this little drop down here that says show all transactions, show uncategorized transactions, or the categorized ones. We do that on purpose because we don't want to have to go searching through and figure out which ones we've done. Now, check this out. MSFT, one of my favorite ones to do. If I come in, and I'm going to actually go to all transactions because I think it's more impressive, and I'm going to type in to my filter here, MSFT, it's going to give me all of the transactions that match to that specific item, right? I can then click at the top. It means it's choosing all of these because that's what I would want for all of them. I can go select vendor, type it in, choose it.
And now this is pulling my vendors from QuickBooks.
Yep.
Okay. Nice.
But
nice.
let's say the vendor didn't exist. Now we need to create one, right?
Yep.
Microsoft fake, we'll call it, right? So let's go add a new vendor. Type it in.
Ooh, we're doing some syncing here. Ooh, I like it. I like it. By the way, really quickly, just while you're typing away, we have a question in the live that is asking, does this work with the Canadian version?
So yes, it would. I've been very fortunate to talk to some amazing people up north, and the thing I've been told is generally because of the strict requirements of having documents attached to every transaction, the interest has not been as strong, but yes, it would still be able to work with the QuickBooks Canada.
Okay, perfect. And a lot of love on Facebook, so thank you all for being here. And just an extra little heart for our Linda Artestani, who's actually my Intuit buddy and also Matt's buddy. Hearts to Linda. Okay.
She's my QB community superstar that, it's awesome. We do everything. We have a lot of fun. If you aren't part of our group yet, please come check us out. It's all about together we all succeed. So thank you, Linda. Thank you. On here, while we're putting the vendor in, we can go in and automatically make the relationship to an account by choosing it right now. But I'm going to be silly. I'm not going to do that because, hey, right? So now we've got these transactions. I'm going to actually go update selected.
Okay.
If we had the transactions actually categorized here, you would see the name here. So if I go back to categorized, anything that, get rid of my filter too. Anything that's actually had a category assigned to it will show up. This goes back to the idea of, are you actually going to go in for 400 vendors and be like meals and entertainment, insurance, fuel? Like, you're not going to do that, right? So instead, we come through. Now we've got all these. Let's click and choose all of them. And I'm just going to export all of these real quick. What's going to happen?
Sending it to QuickBooks, right? That's what that means?
Yes. Okay. So when we do it this way, we don't actually push the information through the SDK, the transactions. We custom create a QBO file to be imported through the bank feed. It's done.
Okay.
What happens, that Microsoft Fake didn't have an account on it, right? So if you're doing a rebuild of data and you have all new vendors you're putting in, it's all brand new account, and you've got 35 of them, you'll get 35 items here that you're going to go through, and we'll put this one into software.
That's obviously pulling in the QuickBooks part of accounts.
Yep. And now I'm going to sync that to QuickBooks Desktop. Okay.
That's super cool.
We use the web connector, which I can't say is the greatest idea or the worst idea. Web connector is difficult sometimes. I always like to have the web connector open because the web connector will run automatically like once a minute. And if you ever, I'm impatient, so I like to see if it's doing what it's supposed to. This will make it to where you get to see and you actually feel like.
So are you going to like eventually play music or something right here?
Actually, well, Mariette, we're waiting for you to provide us the soundtrack.
Or how about just me going like, wait, I'm coming. It's happening.
I actually just want to go boop, boop. I want to get that in there. I don't know if that's trademarked or not, but so we are right now pushing the information through. If there's ever a challenge, like if it takes a while, we actually have it set up to where you can exit out so you're not stuck and held hostage, but it's now pushed the information through. And just so everybody knows, right now, this is being done on a file that's being processed through QBox. So yes, it works with QBox. Okay.
Got it.
We've already downloaded.
I just want to mention that again. Sorry, Chris. We took over QBox Desktop and talk about QBox the whole time. But I'm just mentioning this because a lot of times clients will be like, well, can I not do my other stuff because I'm on QBox? Like that gets them very nervous. I know because I've had that or like, do I have to process payroll? Is QBox not going to allow me to process payroll? You can't. So things like that, it's important that you mention it, and it's important that people know that, because I agree, that is a hesitation for people. Like when they feel like everything's finally working and it's like, what? You want to add something else on and just totally mess me up? So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's a really good point. Really good point.
Again, it's all about workflow. Our goal is to improve workflow, not to break it. So
yes, exactly.
We test, we try, we prove, we do all those things. So I'm going to come in, and I actually should show real quick here the downloaded file that we got. One of my biggest pet peeves on this is all these programs that they give you an export file, right? and it says proxy or download, right? And there's no kind of references to what it's for. Because if we're busy, we're hustling, we're working on even just one client, but a couple different accounts, I want to know which account it came from, and I want to know the timeline of it too, please. Like, make it easier for me. Stop making me work harder just to figure out those details.
Yep.
So we took that into consideration as well.
Very cool.
I'm coming into bank feeds. I'm going to go import Web Connect file. I'm going to choose our company file we just had there. Boom. And we'll go open. Boom. Now, we don't have anything connected for the first time. If you've already actually connected, it would then recognize it again and be able to pull it in. You don't have to reconnect to the bank every single time. I point that out because there's a lot of questions and challenges quite often with bank feeds of whether they're connected or not and what it deals with. We have actually a whole support area that's been built out with questions and answers to help you with that.
Got it.
153 transactions. Transaction list. Look at that right away.
Wow.
Rules, deposits, one rule. We do that on purpose. There's a reason this is called vendor sync. It's called vendor sync because this capability specifically happens on the vendor expenses.
Right.
So as part of our workflow anyways, all the revenue-based items, we always put everything to revenue query because that gives us a place to contain everything, and then we go back and we get our deposit detail, and then we would break it all out at that point. Okay. Very common question that we get all the time is, what about job costing? What about splits? That type of stuff. The ability to push the information from a bank file in does not provide for those kind of functionalities. But by going through the bank feed, it still gives you full capability, just like you would traditionally have, to come in and actually break out and do more detail. Okay?
Got it.
So it still is a manual process or manual aspect from that side of it, but a lot of the transactions, you're going to be able to get it in quicker. And actually also, if you notice at the top here, it's saying to auto. So if you have somebody in office that's writing checks out, it's going to try to match those as best possible. All of the features you would normally get from QuickBooks. So it can actually even help with the reconciliation process, because if you don't know what's in, what's not, there you go. So it's not specific job costing, but it's pretty gosh darn close.
So basically, let's just say, because everybody obviously has their completely separate processes on the deposit side, and I obviously I love the fact that you're very clear. This is vendor sync, not revenue sync, right?
Not yet.
I appreciate that, But let's say, for instance, because I know I'm even thinking about it, like I would know that what came in right now, even though you have that, all as one deposit revenue query, basically everything in red is what really is ready to go and push in. And if I want to have my own deposit process or how I, recognize revenue process, that is the yellow part. But the red is basically what I can feel completely 100% comfortable, bring it in. Is that right?
I do believe so. As a colorblind accountant,
sorry, I forgot.
But it's okay. The best part is my clients' books are never in the red.
Because you can't
exactly.
see the red, or is it because they're not in the red?
We'll go with that. Autos at the bottom here, right? Now, to actually, talk about what you were just saying, what's interesting is it says changed by rules, right? But we didn't actually create rules. The only thing we have in here that's impacting rules are these ones at the top here. I think you called these green or something.
Right, the yellow ones, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see what I mean? My bad. You'll notice these are actually checked off. If I come in and I'm just going to go, again, blindly, you should be reviewing the stuff. Don't normally just do it this way, but I'm doing a live demo and we're good. I'm going to accept as much of this in as quick as we can. And then let's see what's left.
I heard the sound effect that time.
I know, I heard it too. I think you just record yourself doing it and then make it happen. I mean, come on. You know how to make things happen, Matt. And by the way, everybody that's on here, please ask questions. We only have a few minutes left. I swear, I always am so shocked at how quickly it goes when you're having super fun. So feel free to ask whatever you like. Someone asked about can we use items and jobs for job costing? I think you answered that when you said we can go deep into detail, right?
Yes, but more specifically what we're talking, I believe they're actually asking is going to be, they're going to have individual items that would go into something. The way you need to look at it is we're bringing the transactions from the bank feed in, which means if you have one item out of 5 on a single bill, then it's not going to match just the single item. It's going to match the transaction amount that was spent at Lowe's, the whole amount or whatever. So there is a bit of a distinction or a bit of a difference to that.
Okay.
It's specifically whatever is coming through.
Got it.
I hope that helps answer the question.
Got it.
So as you saw, we went through and now we have 2 left.
Wow.
Pretty neat. So
nice. Very, very cool. I love it. I love it. So again, only with a couple of minutes left, I want you to kind of just tell me what would be someone's kind of next steps if they wanted to either learn a little bit about this or who would be the ideal client for this? Like who would really should be considering trying this out for their clients?
Thank you for asking that. We structured and designed this on purpose to be developed for accounting firms. Okay. One of the things I'm very proud of, and it's very difficult to do, multi-level access to things is really, really tough to software development. It literally requires you to do 4 times the amount of work. We have set up the web connector to where you download the web connector file one time, and then you can use it across different company files, no problem. You have a source selection between each. These are each different company files. And then we've also set it up to where you can map different file locations for a single company file. For example, I'm guessing some of the people watching this right now are hopefully are just getting ready for vacation, or they're not in their office right now because of the whole tax season. And maybe you just had that one company file you still had to finish up. You can have that company file on a different computer, especially with QBox, because you could have their portal wherever you need it and grab it and take it, right? And remap the different location so it will still connect and sync either way. That means you can have team members all working on the same file inside of vendor sync, going through, fixing transactions, doing whatever's necessary, and then when you're ready, you sync the data down, you're good, you're awesome, set up and ready.
Now, it sounds like though at the syncing level, that should be the one person that should be syncing, right? Okay, yes. I just want to make sure. Okay, got it.
Additionally, and because of for accuracy, the company file information you're seeing here, right? If I came into QuickBooks, I'm going to do the good old fancy F2, right? Total accounts, total names, total vendors, okay? That information is going to show up here as well. The purpose is to verify that we're getting all of the data so you can see it all.
Got it. Now, one thing we didn't talk about at all, of course, because this is a hybrid kind of conversation, desktop versus working in the cloud. Does this work with QuickBooks Online?
No, it does not.
Okay.
Because we are pulling all of the information from desktop at this time, it is specifically a desktop platform.
Okay. Got it.
Full transparency, as we continue to grow this, we have already mapped out an online solution, but I'll be very blunt. It takes money, time, and energy to do software development. So we've got a great way to do it. We personally feel it's a great way for the accountants to retain control of the rules and the information. I may be a single person here, but I think the bank rules, when you put them into a program or into a company file, that's our intellectual property. We invest the time to have that control to expedite or speed up these processes. It's the only thing we get to keep for all the hard work to make it more efficient. So we need to have that power that if people leave or you let them leave or whichever, they shouldn't get to take that with them, I don't think. Because if so, why don't they just come in, get your rules, and take off, and what then? So, but we've got solutions ready for QuickBooks Online as well as Accounting CS. So
another question, because I know you mentioned Ledger Sync, and obviously we gave a really good example of using QBox. Would you do a tech stack with Vendor Sync with another app other than QBox or Ledger Sync? Because I know you mentioned the remote toolbox. right?
Yeah, thank you. It's a very good question. So this here.
By the way, I really love all those pictures of us. Like that's. I'm like, okay, those are really cool. Obviously, we all know you're awesome at images, but I'm like, I think I may blush a little bit.
I think it's when you've got, good subjects, it helps out a lot.
Uh-oh.
So we've actually been setting up the different workflows, how to use vendor sync with HubDoc. Not HubDoc approved, but hey, so with an actual guide. Same thing back with Ledger Sync as well. We are going to also do another one with MoneyThumb, and I have used probably every one of these tools on the market, and we want to show how, again, this can be a complementary application. It's not competitive. The goal is to help provide more resources to people, the accountants that maybe have clients in both environments, but still want the same workflow capabilities.
Yeah, I love that. I love the complementary application. And I love the fact that you are, going and saying, this connects really well with this other app. Let's go ahead and enhance your solution by playing together. You want to play together. I love playing. Makes perfect sense. Who doesn't like to play together? That's awesome.
Anybody who knows me by now knows I'm all about collaboration. It's through that that we all succeed. It really is.
That is super awesome. So I'm going to check Facebook Live really quickly. Do you have any last thoughts you want to leave the crowd with?
I do. I want to kind of show, we've obviously got different feature pages. You can check out the website, vendorsync.co. It is .co. It's missing that M. Don't worry about the M. It's not needed. So you can check it out. Goes through some basic details. And we do actually have some pricing information down here as well. The way the pricing structure has been set up is on a per company file basis. And we, as you increase the number of company files, the price becomes more and more cost efficient for you. It starts for a single company file. If it's just one company, they're just trying to do this stuff on themselves. We've got our basic is $20 a month. The bookkeeper aspect of it gives you 3 company files at $45. And then for an accounting firm, 10 company files, $100 a month.
Got it. Now, just to make sure, so this is a month. So for instance, let's say I had it, when you're saying one company, so let's say I'm working on several companies that month, I would need the bookkeeper.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, what if I'm literally like doing a bunch of catch up and I need that 1 month to do more than 3 companies? I'd actually need the accounting firm then, right? For that
Correct.
month? Okay.
And, and I'll tell you, one of the hardest things ever to do with an application, Chris, you could probably agree with this, is figure out pricing. Our goal is to always be as fair as we possibly can on pricing, but at the same time to structure it in a way to where it keeps honest people honest, because it's very possible. You could come in, you could spend $20 one time, and you could do a complete rebuild. Mm-hmm. If my answer to that is, if you really need a tool that bad and you're give me a call. Let's talk. Let's figure out the ways we can help make things more efficient for you. I'm a firm believer. We got to pay to keep the lights on for this stuff, but I'm more in for the long run than anything else. So
now I just want to make sure I'm clear. So like for the $45 bookkeeper, that would be the case where I literally have about 3 companies that I'd be using this consistently, right?
Yeah.
And so I just go with the bookkeeper plan and be done, right?
You got it.
Got it. Okay.
Because think about it, like this is more post-transactional accounting concept. But if you've got remote clients, what you'd probably be doing is you're grabbing the file once a month, you're downloading the transactions, and then you're going through making sure you're updating the details, you're having to reconcile the accounts. Now you're concerned whether they've actually put stuff in, and if you download from the bank, is it doubling, is it not? So you can use this to expedite that process. And as you build out the different names in here, you really get that powerful setup.
Right. And just really quickly, I just want to make sure before we lose that point. Now, use 3 different companies, but those companies can have unlimited amount of bank accounts and credit cards.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay,
so
good.
We do. Thank you very much. We do it on a company file basis we feel it's the fairest way to try to do it. Because if I do transaction count, I do all that stuff, you're going to get halfway through a project. That's not fair. Nobody's going to like that.
Right.
So if we can keep the pricing cost efficient, it's a complimentary price for a complimentary app. It makes it very simple for people. We keep it easy. That way everybody always gets the best value.
Perfect. And I have a few questions. Let's see if we can answer them real quick. They're for you, so that's why I want to make sure I.
Thanks for helping on that.
So first of all, Brad had to jump off, but he said that it's the first time seeing the app, and he thinks it's super cool. That's Brett Salomon is from Canada.
Thank you.
And then Tiffany asked, hey, Matt, do the vendor rules live in vendor sync only, or does it update QuickBooks Desktop in the vendor setup?
Great question. It pushes, when you create the relationship between the vendor and the account, it hard codes QuickBooks Desktop. It's a true two-way sync. You make a change in desktop, it will get pulled up to the cloud, or vice versa. If you make one there and it goes down, it will do the same thing. Now, what does live in the cloud only is the last feature I haven't told anybody about yet.
Ooh.
A vendor match alias. I love to use the analogy of AT&T. So on that bank feed, we all know everything's getting better and it's getting cleaner, but it could be AT ampersand T, it could be ATT, it could be AT space T. It could
oh my God, I feel like you're like, it's the ATT.
Yo. And I'm just like, just put the expense, man. I don't care.
That's a good example. I like that one.
So what this does is with the alias, you put a comma, and now you've got 3 different iterations it's searching, and if it sees any of those, it's going to suggest AT&T, whatever you have is the vendor name there. Okay. So this alias part has to live in the cloud, of course, but it codes the transaction correct and sticks it down and ready to go for the rest of it. Super powerful.
Okay, I got a couple more questions. I don't want anyone waiting on the questions. Okay, but first of all, let me just say everybody that literally like registered and is on live in the webinar, awesome. You guys have been super active. Facebook Live, you guys have been super active. So we covered the cost, so we covered that. Larry wants to know if the tutorials are viewable and if they're free. So I'm sure you were just showing us, right, on vendorsync.co, right?
That is exactly right. Okay. We've got, surprise, surprise, I make videos for a lot of stuff. Whoa! So,
I can't believe that.
Yeah, who'd guess? What we have is actually within our blog area, we've actually made it to where the different downloadable guides are available. Full disclosure, we want to get you to sign up, put an email in there so we know who's asking for them. Of course, all that stuff is always free. We just like to know who is interested in it so we can try to follow up. More importantly, if you've got a question on something, I do my best to help however I can, whether it's this or something else. Just reach out. We will do what we can to do a personal demo for you. We'd love to help you out.
That is awesome. And then just really quickly, just want to mention everyone's super happy with the webinar, but Steven said he really appreciated your honesty about the pricing. So that was actually really cool.
Thank you.
And then we have PJ that came in late and they said, please, please, please just explain really quickly again, how does this work with QBox? And Chris, it really does. That really is a question, Chris. I promise.
This really isn't me. I'm out golfing.
So the way this works with QBox, the concept is this. If you have a client that's on QuickBooks Desktop, then they're going to have the file there. And the only way to work with it is you either have to go to it or get it to you. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, we used to use something like TeamViewer. We'd grab the file, we'd transfer it over, wait 20 minutes, depending on the size of it, all that kind of blah, 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 and it was horrible. What QBox will do is it saves the company file, the QBW file, in their private cloud. Then when somebody's ready to access it, it basically grabs it, pulls it down, says, do what you got to do. We're locking this down. People over here, you can do reporting. You can do whatever you want. But transactional-wise, they're working on it right now. And then when it's done, it syncs all the changes back up to the cloud so it can go to the next person. Did I do a good job with that, Chris?
Yeah, no, I think that's, as long as I always get a little squeamish, make sure people understand that with QBox, the file is running in their local environment. The one in the cloud is just the syncing and backup. So
I'm glad you said it that way, because that's actually the powerful part of it. Because it's actually pulling it down and it's working there, that's why this works so well with so many applications, because it's actually running on that computer. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have to install whatever you're doing on any server, and it would all have to run there, and that's where you get in troubles where you're clicking through a mouse, clicking through a screen to a screen to a screen to try to get a button to work, right? Yeah. It's just tough.
That's actually a really good point. I agree. So I want to be mindful of everybody's time and the fact that everyone kind of stayed on like overtime. So thank you. Chris, any last thoughts? Allison, are you going to come in or not? I'm just kidding.
I should turn the computer her way. I always threaten to do that, and I never do it. So
we can actually just turn her video on.
Oh my God.
Never.
She's blushing. You can't see her. I'll draw a little blush on her picture there.
This has been a lot of fun, Chris.
Yeah.
I always appreciate your time doing this. And real quickly, I'm going to announce for QuickBooks Connect, if you haven't heard me talking about the Great Grand Prix, reach out. You're going to want to know about it. Right, Chris?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to
I just
have
made it
all
real.
kinds of cool stuff coming up. Yeah, so and you jumped over scaling because you're on the hook for that too. You'll see us at scaling. We're going to do desktop time live there.
Yep.
Don't know how exactly yet, but Matthew's a sharp guy. He's going to help me figure it out. And next month too, here at Desktop Time, we're going to have Albert from Latino Tax Pros.
Nice.
And we're going to have Gary DeHart, who most of you know from Insightful Accountant, but he's going to be here on behalf of Canon. And they've been in that show for the last like 3 or 4 years. And we're going to be there this year, QBox, at the Latino Tax Fest in Las Vegas. So next month is all about Latino Tax Fest. So
Yes.
it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to want to be there, hear about it, and you got to go to the show. It's a great show. It's growing like crazy. So next month for Desktop Time is going to be all about the Latino Tax Fest. So come back and join us. And like Mariette said, these shows are amazing. I mean, you learn so much. You can partner with so many different people. You can find apps that work well for your business. So we don't do this solely for the purpose of, we have a lot of fun, by the way, and people that think I actually work some days, I come here and I have fun. So so don't tell anybody though, but seriously, these shows, they're a lot of fun. You can learn a lot, make great connections, join great groups, find apps that really enhance your business. So we really encourage you to make those partnerships, to make those relationships so you can enhance your business, expand it. Like Mariette said, do the stuff you want to do.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when you said that 6-7 years ago. Again, we're talking to accountants, and immediately they would say, "Oh, you don't want me to have personal relationship with my client anymore." And we said, No. We want to simplify it because we want you to do the stuff you're good at and have a great relationship with your clients. So
Exactly.
this isn't about depersonalizing the relationship. It's about enhancing it and optimizing it. So that sounds like a shirt, by the way, enhancing and optimizing. So
Okay.
I'm
I'm
gonna
still
put my-
waiting for my QBox Love shirt. So by the way, I need
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it's on its way, I promise. And we have a new slogan on the back too. Slogan.
What does it say, Matt? Let's say, okay. Oh, look at
Secure,
that!
share, sync, success. So
That is so cool. Wait, well, how does Matt just position himself so perfectly?
yeah.
No, see, Chris, I think
You
he
can-
practices.
I
I
practice.
think so. You can tell the experienced people. Yeah, right. I probably would have gone like over there, and everybody said, "Where'd he go?"
Oh, no, I'm always like trying to figure out like what side is it? Like where?
So,
All right, guys,
anyways,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank
thank
you
you,
so much.
guys.
It's awesome.
all right. Yeah, thank you guys very much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Facebook Live, everywhere. We appreciate having you. We hope you take advantage of what you learned today, and we also will send a follow-up email so you'll have information about Matthew, about Mariette, and so you can follow up if you like to. But come back and see us next month. Again, we're going to have a lot of fun again next month and the month after. And so thank you so much. Thank you, Mariette. Thank you, Matthew. We really appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Bye-bye,
Love
guys.
California.
Bye.
Let's go.
All right. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.